If you want to achieve all of your goals for 2025, I fully, wholeheartedly believe that you have to do this one thing. And if you do, you'll be able to reach your goals much faster. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel, and this is Feeling My Feelings, where I finally feel my feelings after many new years of limiting myself and my ability to connect with my feelings. Happy 2025. It is the season, and it's also Capricorn season, where we get more ambitious for the year, where we may or may not be setting resolutions. And I will say, first of all, don't feel pressure to set new resolutions, set new goals, or be a new you this year, because maybe you are just fine with the way you are, and you should be. But if you are someone who does like using the new year's to start fresh, I'm with you. I like knowing that, at least a new year, new quarters, new goals, another chance to start fresh. You know what I mean? So I have learned from 2024 that I had tons of different goals. I had tons of things that I wanted to do, but ultimately I was not able to get to them, no matter how much I planned, no matter how much I tried to have discipline. And you know why? Well, let me tell you. So honestly, a lot of us don't achieve our goals, not because we lacked planning, and not because we weren't pushing ourselves or because we didn't have a vision board or whatever, but because it did not sit well with how we were feeling. And ultimately, we were not focusing on our real needs. We were instead focusing on many times egoic or shame-based thinking. And what I mean is, for example, if your goal, like many others, is to lose weight, and your motivation is, I have to lose weight to look good for everybody else, or I have to lose X amount of pounds and I just have to push it, obviously that spells self-deprecation, that spells exhaustion, burnout, and unhealthy behaviors. So in order to actually set a healthy goal and follow it through, I think you have to do pre-work before you actually set goals. And that is, or maybe let's rename this to, instead of a goals list, maybe we should kind of set for ourselves a needs list. And for me, I think it makes sense for me to sort of make it a holistic needs list. So you have your physical, your emotional / spiritual, so like soul needs, and your like mental needs. So all three categories I think would be great. So for example, in the emotional needs category, emotional, spiritual, soul needs, I would say this is the thing, and this is probably the base foundation that we should lay for most of our motivations and our goals in life. We need to be able to point out and allow ourselves to point out what we need emotionally, because it has become my life's thesis in my manifesto, or at least this podcast called Feeling My Feelings. It seems as though I have cracked the case as to why most people don't get what they want. They don't know what they actually need. So instead, we run around thinking, I have to do what someone else needs me to do. I have to meet someone else's expectations. I have to meet someone else's emotional needs. I mean, I'm always having to impress people. All of my goals are so wrapped up in everybody else and everything externally, but they're not coming from me. And so obviously, I think it would be great if we were really honest with ourselves as to what we want, and more so why we want it, and what we actually need and what we have been lacking. So emotionally, spiritually, soul-wise, sometimes that looks like, for example, for me, like a lot of my soul need was this ability to connect with and listen to myself, listen to what my unique creative voice wanted to express. I always felt kind of stifled in expression. I always felt like I was readjusting for someone else's emotional needs. I always felt like I didn't make time to listen to myself because I was ashamed of whenever I felt sad, whenever I felt angry, whenever I felt anything but perfectly happy and confident, I felt ashamed. But when you think about it, those emotions are there for a reason. And for me, once I delved into why I was angry a lot, why I was sad, once I listened to myself, I was able to gain more clarity as to what I really wanted, what I wanted in a relationship, in my career, in all of my interactions, in my everyday life. I mean, when you write down your emotional needs, don't be ashamed about what comes up. This is for you. This is probably the biggest thing that people miss that could actually be the strongest foundation for achieving what they want in life. So examples of emotional needs, emotional, spiritual, soul needs, for example, maybe if you are normally a really reclusive, isolated person, hi, me, most of my life, maybe your need is you really want to connect with somebody on a really deep level who wants to hear you out, who wants to hear out your voice and your expression. Now, some people might call that like, I want to join a meetup with like personal development people, which is something that is on my bucket list. So you see how that base need, that base emotional need and or want led me to figuring out an actual goal I could have for the year. And alternatively, maybe you are such a social butterfly that you are always running around trying to help and please other people that you forget your needs entirely. And all you really want to do is spend more time with yourself. Maybe emotionally, you need to sit and hear yourself like I did, but maybe you need more solo time. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe you need more introspective time. Maybe your soul is calling for you to look within and to understand, what you actually want versus being a social butterfly for everybody else. Another emotional need is maybe you actually want to stop being so nice this year. Maybe you feel like you're taken advantage of. Maybe you want to learn how to speak up more. Because if you look back at your past years and maybe the goals that you wanted to achieve and you find that you fell short of it, or, you only got so far and then you hit like a block or something like that, maybe it means that you were holding yourself back. Maybe you feel like you want to, maybe you're not working a job that you're passionate about, or you're not around the people that you want to be around, and there's some sort of lack of authenticity or passion. Maybe the need that you have is the ability to carve out some time to be authentic. Like, it can be hard to up and get an authentic, perfect job for you right away. However, let's manifest it, let's work on it. But what you could do in the meantime is make sure you're carving enough time out so that you can balance out and be authentic at some point during your day. So another emotional need and another need that our souls have is just to be our authentic selves. That is a big one. That is a big goal that I think everyone should have. And I know that's massive. And that's like, oh, do I need to write that down and do that this year? Just this year, I have to be myself. Well, what I'm saying is let's take steps towards getting closer to our authenticity and or, creating a more authentic life. For example, let's say your job is not meeting your need to be like a passionate, authentic person. However, it can be hard to up and find the perfect job that's aligned with you right away. of course, we're going to work on it, we're going to manifest it, and you're going to get it. But in the meantime, I think it'd be good if we carved out more time to at least be authentic if we can't do it for the first 8 hours of our day. So what does that look like? I mean, it depends on what it looks like for you and what you like to do that is authentic. Maybe you feel like you're spending a lot of the day in like a sales job and you're putting on sort of a fake persona when all you want to do is talk about your feelings and I don't know, make music. So let's make some time to journal and write what we actually feel so that it's still alive, so that you're validating that my feelings are real and I don't have to stuff them down and ignore them all the time. Maybe we spend some time writing music, maybe some time playing music. Maybe we have to make sure that we are carving out space where we are being ourselves. Because I think we're gonna get burnt out super easily the more and more we do things that are not aligned with ourselves. Okay, so what about your mental needs? I am gonna put this, under the same category as like your mental health needs and your belief systems and basically everything that goes on in the consciousness. So what have you been believing? What limiting beliefs do you feel like have been holding you back? Because sometimes it's this belief that like, oh, all people are mean, or I will never get this thing. Or maybe you have a habit of ruminating, like, hi, I do. Maybe you have a habit of overthinking. Maybe your mind is running the show way too much and you're not getting more into your body. Maybe your brain wants a rest. Maybe your brain just wants to be fed with other things, whether that be like more positive, like personal development type of media and culture, or whether that means you want to dive more into reading and books and expanding your creative mind. Maybe that means for a while you have thought about, oh, I want to learn how to play the guitar, but I just never thought I could take to it. Or maybe you want to learn how to write a screenplay. Like, maybe your mind needs to be fed and it needs to be expanded. And this is the year where you decide, like, I don't want to wait on on my dreams. I want to start learning things even little by little right now. In what ways do you feel like you can expand your mind? It's really fun to obviously pick up new skills or to learn a little bit about everything. And maybe sometimes we don't give ourselves enough freedom, or we're not open enough to learning new things. Maybe we also think we're really limited in our skill set and what we have the capacity to do. I feel like, let yourself learn that thing. Go, YouTube anything for free. Also, think about just mental habits. In what ways can you improve your mental health? In what ways can you, let's say, start quelling anxiety? Hi, me. In what ways can you start, allowing yourself to thought stop? So for example, for me, if I am catastrophizing things, which I tend to do, I have learned that at a certain point, I have catastrophized as much as I could, and I intend instead to just have lighter anxiety about something. And if I don't know the answer, I can just let it be. If I can figure out a way to provide a solution to it, maybe I will. But maybe it is wasting my time and my energy to sit and ruminate or sit and try to solve a problem and take forever just overthinking it. In what ways can you mentally let yourself expand, grow, and heal? So everyone's favorite, how can we meet our physical needs? I mean, this includes health, and yeah, it includes your aesthetic, losing weight, your body image. It also includes how can you listen to your body's actual needs and cries for relaxation or cries for movement. I know for me, it can be such a stark, like, bit of opposites, because I can be sedentary and be sitting at a computer, and then I'll be like, okay, I need to go like walk for an hour. I need to go exercise and move for like an hour. This is good. It somewhat balances each other out, but I know that I need to incorporate now, like getting up, walking, like moving somehow throughout the day, so I'm not stuck in one rigid position. Also, I do feel like I have allowed myself to become too stiff, and most of us have. It is not normal. A bunch of us are suffering and will get some sort of health issues the more and more we do not move, okay? So we do need to move. But also, I have ignored things, physical things, like, we know, like, if you've seen for a while, I got this like dead rotting tooth right here. Embarrassing, but I can tell that that's something that I have not really prioritized. But prioritize your health. Also prioritize just taking care of yourself and paying attention to, honestly, the clothes you're wearing are what you authentically feel like you want to wear. The haircut you have is now kind of like, been there, done that. I need to zhuzh it up. Maybe you want to change your look, your accessories. Maybe you want to experiment with different vibes, meet that physical need of also how you present yourself. I know that's something I have been ignoring. Like, also, it tends to be the last on my priority list because finances. But honestly, can you find a different, even more affordable way to take care of yourself? I've been realizing, for me, like, I'm buying like cheap shampoo, or like I'm barely doing my hair when I do actually have time to do that. I'm barely putting on makeup, not that I need to, but can I make time to have fun and dress up and put on makeup? Like, there are some physical and appearance needs, I'm saying needs, that are tied into, let's say, expression. And you get to have the whole package of whatever you want. You get to be expressive emotionally, mentally, physically, Also, we got to talk about it. Are you meeting, like, your sexual needs? Sometimes, that can go, like, that could be a little bit too much, and maybe you're overindulging, which you do you, but as long as it's healthy. And maybe you're holding back too much. You do you, as long as it's healthy. But on another like sort of branch off of that is, are you also expressing like your sexuality the way that you want to? Like, for me, for example, and my energy, for example, like, I feel like I've been super rigid and masculine, and I feel it in my body. And maybe what I need to do is, like, honestly, like, dance. So when I went to Spain a couple of weeks ago, like, I saw a flamenco show, and the way these people were dancing, and it was just pure passion. I was like, my body needs to dance, But what that translates to me, like, how that translates for me is like, okay, maybe I do like an exercise dance video. Maybe I actually take dance classes. Maybe I do a YouTube video. I watch a YouTube video where I dance, but I just know that maybe physically my body doesn't want to be in its head so much. It doesn't want to be in its feels so much. Maybe it just wants to be silly and loose and to feel more flowy and honestly more feminine. Like, something I don't feel like I do enough is I don't allow myself to feel into my feminine, like, body. I don't allow myself to ease my body, to like be less rigid, to, I don't know. It feels difficult to be graceful, but in general, you're just allowing yourself to let go of stress in your body, and you're allowing all the parts of your body, even like, I don't know, your wrist movements, like the way you sit, instead of being like holding yourself rigidly, maybe you have an ease about yourself. Like, that's something that I honestly think is a goal for me this year, because I have felt the need to loosen up, because my body has just forced itself to be super rigid and kind of masculine, which is okay, but I'm finding that is not what my body likes right now. And obviously, make sure you're feeding your body what it wants, and like also what it needs. Like, after like, you know, when you're indulging in like, let's say ice cream or junk food or whatever, there's a certain point where you satisfy yourself, but you want to keep going. So you just finish the bag or you finish the carton of ice cream and you're like, yeah, no, I'm going to feel like shit the rest of the night. Like, you could probably have stopped like half or 3/4 of the way in and just saved the rest of it. And that would have done your body much better. And you would not have felt like you were forcing yourself to eat the rest of it just because, I don't know, you wanted to, because you need to finish it. Like, allow yourself to have that moderation, because I won't lie, I think your body does want moderation. And if it doesn't, it's going into extremes because some other need is not met, because either you didn't sleep enough, or alternatively, your emotional needs are not met, so you're eating your feelings, or you're bored and all you can do is eat. You know what I mean? So, and also, if you want to indulge. So oppositely, maybe you've been on such a restricted diet like I have been, and you are now deathly afraid of having a little bit of gluten or a little bit of dessert here and there. Like, schedule that stuff. Allow yourself to have those cheat days. Like, make room in your life, in your diet, in, you know, everything physically to indulge, to rest. Yeah. The last thing I'll say on physical needs is I think we're understanding that we have to rest more. But more importantly, we get to feed our bodies with the rest that will actually get us more energized. So what I mean is, sometimes just taking a bubble bath is just me sitting and ruminating while taking a bubble bath. Like, my mind did not turn off. So it sounds like what I really needed to do was, I don't know, play motivational like affirmations or listen to an insightful podcast while taking a bubble bath. You know, maybe like when you're resting and all you want to do is sleep, it is good initially if you need to turn off your mind to sleep. However, if something's upsetting you, what your body needs is to express that. So rest, but maybe rest from the thing that is giving you stress. Rest from the thing that is actually causing you misalignment. So maybe, obviously, that is if you're stressed from work, if you're stressed from your relationships and people, build some boundaries around that. Learn to speak up. You know, if you're someone who thinks, you know, it is really rude to, I don't know, skip out on a family gathering or a social gathering or whatever, maybe like arrive and be like, I have to go home like late, or I have to go home early because I have to go somewhere early in the morning. I don't know, but allow yourself to slowly chip away at, you know, like creating more boundaries and directly address the things that are stressing you out. It's okay. You don't have to feel ashamed for not stuffing them down enough, or not being so confident that you were able to overcome the fact that you hate everything, you know? Like, I feel like basically the main thing that will help you reach your needs and your goals, and to define your goals in the first place, is to listen to yourself. Listen to what you actually need, what your body is telling you it needs. And not every self-help thing is the right band-aid, is the right salve for whatever you're dealing with. So you are allowed, I give you permission to actually address and feel into what it is like that is actually bothering you. We need to release shame over listening to our needs. And I think once we do that, we'll actually be able to not only reach our goals, but we can build our life around what is the most authentic to us. So last thought on physical needs, think about what you want in your environment. So that's the people around you, that's literally your living space. That has been something I have been lacking for a couple of years now. Like, there were years where I was really obsessed with like making sure I had like the bed sheets I wanted, and also making sure that that my desk looked as clear and like perfect as I wanted. And then there have been years where I've been like, okay, well, my environment is the lowest priority. I have to just get shit done. And, you know, I'll look around at my room, at my workplace, like my workstation, and I'll be like, okay, so I've allowed myself to just, you know, just get by. Like, I know I don't like the color of my bedroom walls, or like, I know that I'd rather decorate this differently, or like, you know, I clean enough, but I could definitely be paying more attention to the upkeep of my household. Like, there's things like that. Like, I know this is kind of boring, but I recently finally started to demold my bathroom, like my shower, and it's been a long time coming, and I have some mold toxicities. So I'm like, why did that take me so long? And it's because I didn't prioritize, or I didn't think it was much of a need to address my environment. And maybe that still could be low priority for you after you knock out a couple of things. Like, granted, you know, we all have a lot of holistic needs that might not be addressed all in 1 year even, but it is good to know that we have a standard and also a need for like what we want to have around us. I feel like it's really funny because now I have been seeing, especially now that I've been around somebody who is like obsessive about his environment, I'm like, yeah, I really let that part of me go. I've been doing a lot of great internal work, but I've allowed, like, you know, the spaces I live in to kind of go to the wayside. And so it's great that I am looking at everything. Like, I initially looked at everything with like, you know, the lens of shame. I was like, ew, why are my bedroom walls still this color? Like, why didn't I clean off my moldy shower earlier, you know? Like, but, you know, all I can do is accept that that wasn't the priority. And now I'm making the space to create holistic priorities and meet my holistic needs and wants. So honestly, write down whatever the F it is you would like and allow yourself to start prioritizing it. So last thing I'll say is we can fall into burnout super easily when we are not meeting our emotional needs, and also when we're just not checking in and communicating with ourselves. So when I mean, like, you know, set a needs list, yeah, do that initially, but also be able to have a regular sort of dialogue with yourself if you don't already. I know that has been hard for me. Like, I am actively right now going through this transition from constantly thinking about like how other people perceive me, and more so constantly being frustrated about like feeling controlled or feeling like there's manipulative people in my life. Like, there was so much noise in my head because there was so much outside influence that was overwhelming me to the point where I could not hear myself. I didn't even know how to. And unfortunately, that means I didn't trust myself, and I felt shameful. I felt shameful that I would be sad or angry, or, you know, like, it is important for you to be your own, you know, biggest advocate. You need to be able to have this regular dialogue, this regular awareness and consciousness, and to not be afraid to listen to yourself. Because ultimately, we don't reach our goals, or we burn out before we reach our goals because we're still not paying attention to ourselves. And I think no matter what you're doing, whether it is like trying to, I don't know, build your business or build a healthy relationship, like, you need to hear yourself and what's upsetting you and what's going on within every step of the way. Like, eventually, you know, you'll be able to be so in tune, or maybe not even just in tune, but you'll be able to build a relationship with yourself to the point where, you know, it's like it's like your best friend or your partner, or like a good relative, like, where you pick up on, okay, I know I'm going to be upset here, where you know yourself enough. So it is best to be able to build that relationship and that communication with you.